Bass heads, what's good? Welcome to another video. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ted and I talk bass. Listen, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps your boy out, does all the algorithm things or whatever. Anyway, I didn't learn how to really read music until I was about 35. I wound up getting a degree in music shortly after that. I should have gotten a degree in something else, but that's a story for another time. But here's the deal. My reading improved, it had to, and I became a proficient reader. And the reason that was because I was in situations, I purposely put myself into situations where I had to read. It's easier than you think, and it doesn't take going through a lot of stuff. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can take the basics, and start expanding that. But you have to be consistent with it. That's the key, is consistency. So let's get into this. I'll put timestamps below. So I'm going to use Tomplay for this video. There's a link below where you can get a 14-day free trial. Before we even get started, let's talk about this. For those who don't know, that's an E. That note is E. That string is E. That note is A. That string is A. D and G. Why am I going through that? Because if we have a bass guitar that is in tune and we know that that's where we're starting, right? That's where we're starting. We know that, then cool. Very quickly, in a chromatic fashion, if I'm going up in pitch, I'm going to say sharps, right? There's a half step in between B and C and E and F. So there is no technically, well, there is sometimes, we're not getting into that, a B sharp, right? Or an E sharp, okay? So, for instance, if I go A sharp, B, no half step. It's only a half step in between B and C. So C sharp. I'm just giving you a principle that I want you to keep your mind on. All right. Having said that, let's look at Tomplay. This is Hotel California. All right, and it's an easy song on Tomplay, slow, and it gives us opportunity to figure out these notes. Now, I'm not going to talk about the tab too much. I will in a second, but not a whole lot, right? Really, really quickly, we know that's a bass clef. Easy money. There's an F sharp and a C sharp. The phrase that we used to use in school, which is probably politically incorrect at this point, is Fat Charlie gets donuts at every bakery. That's the order of sharps. The last sharp, you put a note above it. I think you know what I mean. So for instance, Fat Charlie, don't come for me in the comments, man. I'm just telling you how I remember. Fat Charlie, that Charlie, then the key is D. All right? There's 4/4 time. We know it's 4/4 time. 4 beats in a measure. Quarter note gets the beat. All that means is I need the equivalent of 4 quarter notes in each measure. Now, we got a little bit of a cheat here by way of the chords on top, right? B minor, F sharp 7, A, E, G, D, right? And we're playing the roots of those chords. Before we even start the music, we know we're going to hold each of those notes for 4 beats. It's early in the morning here. I'm about to go work out. The workout formula may be kicking in. I'm doing that new Sean T dig deeper, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, we've identified the note B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, where would F sharp be? Well, D sharp, E, F, F sharp. Let me make this a little bit smaller or get this out of the way some because I think you can see it. You don't need to see me. I look a fright. Okay? Now, also, the tablature is telling us this. But this is why I don't really love tab. Because the tab is saying 2, 3, 4, and then F sharp. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the F sharp. Right? The 7th fret and the 9th fret. It's perfectly valid, but if you're reading tab for the first time, then you're stuck. I mean, you could become stuck saying that, I need to play B and F sharp here, when B and F sharp also exist here, right? And this might be an appropriate place to play that. Also, the next measure, A, right? That may be measure 3. That may be the best place to play that. The best place to play that A might be open. You dig? Or here. Now, what about E? E is at the 7th fret of the A string. And then G. And then D. Now, why am I moving through that so quickly? Is because what I would recommend is that every time you see a note, you name the note. Instead of going through all these different, things, it's like if you meet a person and you forget their name and then they remind you what their name is, and then every time you see them on the street, you make an effort to say their name. Or when you meet a person for the first time, hey, I'm Bill. I've heard that, I can't remember where I heard it before, but if you just say, oh, hey, Bill, I'm Ted. I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to make that reference, but you see what I'm saying? If you just immediately repeat that person's name, the likelihood of you remembering is better, right? So here's one of the beautiful things about Tomplay. Now, I'm going to play it. It's slow, 74 BPM. Before I play it with the backing track, let's play it with the metronome. 2, or play it with me. 1, 2, measure 1. E. G. 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm going to play it now with the backing track so that it can scroll along. You can also, if I left the bass in by mistake. Okay, so look at that. Do you see that right there? How that there's this little transition, and Tomplay is letting me know. That's how your eyes have to be when you're moving through a piece of music. Anyway, you're always kind of scanning ahead, the same way that you're scanning ahead with reading anything else. But what I wanted to say was that one of the ways that you could use a tool like Tomplay, which I think is so great, is while you are reading, if you have the bass track on, you know when you're wrong, because you should be able to hear a difference between your bass and this bass. However, I'm going to turn the bass off and go back to the top. Open E, and look, F sharp in another place. Repeating the same thing. Okay, let's talk about this verse 1. All right, now this is, I haven't gone through this, right? I just thought about this morning because that's what I do sometimes. There are 4, and this is the way you got it. This is the way I taught myself how to read. Was 1, deconstructing, also putting myself in positions purposefully to where I had to read. So we're at verse 1, and the first thing I'm looking at here is this group of 16th notes. Anytime I see a group of four 16th notes, that's one beat. That's all that is. It's one beat. 1 E and A. Okay? So we'll look at the rhythm first. 1 E and A. Okay? So beat 1 is covered. What are the notes? I got this little cheat sheet here. So it's saying, if that's, okay, I know 2 16th notes is going to sound like ba ba. And then we have F sharp and B. Now all I got to do is every time, if this is brand new, all I do is every time I see this note, I call it B. Hey, F sharp. Hey, B. You dig what I'm saying? I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, it works. 3, 4, 1 E and a 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2, 3, 4. So I'm just getting that muscle memory down, right? That's what I'm suggesting you do. Okay? So then we go to beat number 2. I'm going to explain this in the least theoretical way possible. An 8th note rest, a dotted 8th note rest, is the equivalent of 3 16th notes. So instead of having 2 E and A, we just have 2 E and A. Okay? So then if we put those 2 beats together, we have 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. You understand? So watch this. I'm not stressing over this note right here, this F sharp in beat number 2, because I've seen it already. There's nothing new in that measure. All right, so now we're going to look at beat number 3, where we have, so this is a syncopation, right? You can also use Tomplay to check your rhythm, to check if your math is right. Right? Again, so here's a good place where you might put the loop function on Tomplay. So let me hit loop here and just loop that measure. On a dark desert highway. On a dark desert highway. So I'm taking time to look at one measure. If I'm using a tool like Tomplay to get my reading in order, right? And I'm putting myself in your shoes as well. If I'm looking at this in a way to get the reading thing together, then this is how you do it. Repetition. So let's take the loop off, and I want to see what's coming next. Look at this, F sharp bar 18, right? Measure 18 is the same rhythm. Now this is something, matter of fact, it's the same rhythm. There's a change here. It's a little bit different here. Same here. The rhythm may be, it may look intimidating, but when you take the time to do one bar at a time, I guarantee you This, man, I can't guarantee you a lot, but I guarantee you if you take your time, if it's something that you really want to do, you will fly through this and you'll find that this is one of the easiest things to play. Every time you see rhythmic figures like this, you won't bat an eye. Okay? Sometimes the reading gets rusty and you have to get it back. That's cool too. All right? I mean, that's all right. It happens. You dig? So, anyway, the video's has gotten long. So, anyway, 14-day free trial of Tomplay in the description below. I hope to see you in the next video. I appreciate you. Peace. Two fingers.